Christina Universe Citizen presents New Era Religion, Episode 15, Part 1, March 27, 2022, entitled As the God of War. Humans say they want unity. It is talked about as a political necessity, especially when people agree to behave amicably in accordance with a mutually acceptable objective in mind. Then, presumptively, unity is the opposite of disunity, as disunited is an antonym of united. Normally, humans do not say they want war. Be that as it may, our intelligent evolution species, humans of the eternal omniscient mind, eom, unknowingly perpetuate the subconscious, ignorantly fearful cautionaries that are conceptual subsets relative to every threat that triggers defensive reactions that resort to variously contrived destructive deterrents, the worst of which is the nuclear weapon that has become the ultimate threatening deterrent as a political strategy by the political schemers in the world. They position their greatest self-serving, supposedly absolute authority that more accurately is a consequential, self-serving personality disorder, without revealing the God of War. Those psychotic mindsets do not announce this self-ordained proclamation as the God of War every time they demonstrate aspects of their nuclear arsenals that over time can travel increasingly farther, higher, faster, as ballistic missiles do, for example. The potential provocation is always to evoke reactionary signals, thereby permitting the next scaled-up demonstration, which is manifest as the people also demonstrate against that purpose. It is like the defiant child who repeatedly disrupts an amicable interaction, inviting the parental reaction that likewise becomes an admonishing threat. Both the troublemaking instigator, a child, and the peacemaker, a parent, back down to avoid confrontation in an environment of mutually conditioned, compromised neutrality. Over decades, the political problem-making environments are less desirable, making less common sense to the intelligent humans who realize they exist as evolution beings who by design are naturally experiential, experimental observers and who can tune into alternate frequencies in support of life on Earth, mindful of the totality of universal integrity. Nevertheless, logically evolving mentalities of the technologically informed evolution humanity can be momentarily at a loss, but continues observing the reenacting articulations each time, hoping to reduce the tolerance magnitudes of the residual inaccuracies. Increasingly more obvious it is the residual inaccuracies that are playing out variously contrived game plans throughout the universal communications process. This continues as more technological know-how is also underway that most humans on planet Earth cannot begin to correlate to what they have learned ought to be predictable in our world to a certain degree of compatibility with self-determination, self-will, and anticipatory self-confidence in the systems we have grown to trust, as a rule. However, when the technologically advanced humans value their acquired knowledge as a political attainment, to play the political game for all it is worth, to the profit motivation that is at the expense of the people using the computer's networking functioning, thus doing so will not assure the people's unity correlative to the conceptuality of nuclear centers. Neither will it invoke curiosity concerning realization of the most economical way of behaving relative to unity and self in universe. Synergetics 421.03. The fact that humans of the eternal omniscient mind, Yom, are designed in principle to discover the conceptuality of frequency modulation is also where the inherent qualities of accommodation are not of the PRJWBCS. Politics, religion, justice, war, belief, complex schemes, an acronym I devised after observing for decades what seems to always have been ongoing. This clearly indicates whatever has imposed its political will for thousands of years is the least economical way of behaving simply because it is redundant and inessential and initially stems from the womb of permitted ignorance. Prolonging the obsolescence of the PRJWBCS factors, where politics seems to have tenaciously grabbed onto the universal communication systems, does not change the fact of science, of omniscience, as omniscience, and the anticipatory design science realities that must eventually supplant all those inherited detriments with omnirational conceptualities of nature's coordinate system. Synergetics 425.01. It is a totally different, comprehensively tuned-in thought-language coordinate system that naturally is relative to 60 degrees as the equilibrious norm. Awareness of it is a relief from temporarily being lost in delusional anxiety that resorts to politics. Traditionally, habitually, the people perpetually yield to the established influences of any predominating PRJWBCS factor, infused with fear of the destructive implications. Our confused humanity hesitates to initiate the essential structural integrity patterning that coincide with systemic thoughts, equanimity, and the vector equilibrium, which is the vector thoughts equanimity, and the vector equilibrium, which is the equanimity model that shares the same design in both the metaphysical and the physical universe, and intertransformability. Synergetics 440.00. Writing the words, saying the words to a world audience expects rejection from their ingrained traditional way of non-thinking, which is most prevalent wherever believe is used instead of using the word think. To be continued in episode 16, part 2, including this last paragraph of part 1. Thank you.